Sorry. Okay, the browser source keeps breaking, but this time I changed it.
I can't keep doing this.
This time I changed the setting. I went into the settings and made it so that I took off the what do you call that? Hardware acceleration or something like that for browser sources. I'm hoping that will fix it. I don't know. We'll see. It was probably trying to do too much with the browser sources and crashing it. So I turned off hardware acceleration for browser sources. So we'll see if that what that does, if that keeps it from dying. It's literally just the browser sources glitching, but I'm trying to use the browser sources primarily so I don't have to have another Chrome browser open. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to prevent. But the problem is sometimes the browser source like just crashes. I didn't know if I was in the right spot.
You're not.
Then that's why I was pausing it. Just leave it here? Mm-hmm. Alright, so hopefully y'all good now. I'm sorry for the stream crashing. I'm gonna have to make 3 parts to this video. Luckily, I only do it on Twitch, so we just have 3 parts, and it's fine. When will I get the video for the edit? Edit. I can literally get it right away, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know if I can actually do it like this anymore.
What do you mean?
No, I can't. I have to use the TNT to blow that up.
Yeah, I can do it. I want basically yesterday's stream. I'm gonna just download.
Oh, fuck me.
I'm just gonna download that VOD and stuff like that. Yeah, Practice, my knowledge of OBS is really high level, but the problem is sometimes my computer and everything else can't keep up with everything I'm trying to do, so it explodes. But basically, browser sources, you can use them for a lot of different functionality on the stream. But at the same time, you can use them. You can use them for, let's see, like the chat that I have on the stream, right? Like when you guys pop up there, that's a browser source plugin using a certain what's it called?
Penis?
J chat, which is just like a very basic chat system for Twitch.
I hate all of you.
So that's a browser source. And then you can also have custom browser sources where I can literally have YouTube, Twitch, or any website that I visit very often accessible.
Well, I fucked that up.
Accessible as a custom browser. And anytime I want to use them, I can just pop them up as a custom browser, and I have an extension or plugin called Source Dock, which allows you to dock any source or anything you want. So sometimes I don't dock it, I just have it out as its own window. So right now I have YouTube out as its own window with this video in it. And then I have, I can edit the properties, the filters, and the volume of the scene, and I mean the source on the fly. And I don't have to have Chrome actually open to do it. So that's the really fun side of it, because Chrome, if you didn't know, is a big resource hog, and just having actual browsers open in addition to all the other stuff is just too much. So that's why I try to, that's why I want to just try to keep my browsers closed and just use OBS's browser sources. But sometimes they crash, like how you were seeing just then, and the problem is when they crash is the whole OBS crashes, not just the browser source. What I wish it would do is if the browser source crashes, the browser source just closes and I have to open it again. But instead it makes the entire OBS freeze and crash, and I have to restart OBS again. So that's the downside of it. So I'm hoping that if I turn the hardware acceleration off, a lot of people recommend turning that off because it just causes a lot of problems. I'm hoping that that will fix it and make it like more reliable. But so far, I have a browser source for almost everything I need. And with that source dock plugin, I can just have that source dockable like literally anywhere. Bro. I didn't have that. I can just have it accessible anywhere, just like it was its own browser. But I'm only using OBS, so OBS is pulling all the power on its own. Got a browser source for your hair? Wow. But yeah,
it's called the bathroom cam.
But yeah, it's really cool. I like it. I'm hoping that that fixes it, because I did have
motherfucker
browser acceleration on like way too much. But yeah, what I wanted to do is have a like little mini series of my partner going through Jack on Open Goal. So that would be what I can easily just grab that footage like after this stream and send that to you, Vincent, if you'd want to work on that. But I think that's probably the next thing I'm gonna do. And I'm getting really close to just saying frick it with I'm getting really close to just being like frick it with the other thing and just having them just giving you that video as well. I'm gonna try to reach out to them like one more time or something, but like it's really getting annoying at this point where it's not annoying. Ugh, that sounds so mean. It's just getting to the point where it's like, bro, are you gonna finish it or not? Like, are you gonna finish it? You love to edit footage of Whip? I don't know. If we get something, like if we have something that's it's good to make a video of, I would love to. If you have any creative ideas of any content you would like to make and you just want me to get the footage for you, just let me know and I will let you know. And yo, what's up, Billy Bob? How you doing? Hopefully you're doing well. But yeah, if you have any ideas, you're like, oh, I could really make a cool video off of this, and you want me to just grab the footage for you, I'll do that too. So, whatever you want to do. So, are you doing it too early or too late? Looks like you're doing it too early.
11.
11? But yeah, and if anyone else likes to experiment with editing, please let me know, because I don't know what's going on with these other peoples. They be sus out here. They be sus out here. But yeah, this game is frustrating, but I think Whip has been handling itself pretty well. Did your dad early in the morning? Okay, I'm gonna let those slide, Vincent, because you're young. I'll let that stuff slide. It'll be alright.
Really?
Wow, breaks everything? Wait, what are you supposed to do over there? Oh, no. Oh, you're fine. You're fine, Vincent. My bad. I didn't mean it in like a bad thing. I'm just saying like that sounds like something that
we don't usually do the whole your mom, your dad, and your grandmother, your
It sounds like
sister
something a young
stuff.
person would say, is what my point is.
Like, that was popular when I was in high school, and that was almost... At this point, it was close to 20 years ago.
Yeah, so it's just funny. It's funny to hear it again, but it reminds me that you are young, so that's probably something that is said.
Man, I was in...
Still.
I started high school almost 20 years ago. Oh, fuck me.
Why'd you say that?
I didn't think I was gonna have time.
Oh. Just walking against the wall.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't trust this game with any of its nonsense.
Yeah, it's not a problem. If I ever have an issue, I'll tell you. Like, I don't... Most of the time, I don't, though. Seriously. You moisturize me.
Moisturize me, Captain.
Wait, what are you supposed to do? You can make that? Bro. Oh, man. You gotta be hella accurate.
Is that how you're supposed to do that? Watch the video and tell me if that's how you're supposed to do that. Fuck me.
I work in a garage and hear it every day. I mean, I can see that, and it really just depends on the people. Really, it's not really a big deal.
Do you mean like garage, like automotive work, or do you mean something else?
I started middle school in 2004. Dang, when did I start middle school? I was in 4th grade in 2004.
I finished in 2009.
So I was in middle school. What grade did you do middle school again? Is that 6th grade, right? So I think like 2006. Automotive. Oh, cool. That work
I didn't
seems
do
so
it right.
fun.
Go back a little.
Oh, sorry. Here?
I said a little, not halfway through the fucking video.
Stop roasting me, man. What?
That's fine. That's what I need.
So you're supposed to go right away.
Okay. I don't like it anymore.
Oh my gosh, y'all making me sound old as hell over here. Y'all making me sound old as hell.
Practice, when did you finish? Because I'm too small brain to remember when I started. Fuck. I finished our middle school equivalent in like 2011. I mean, yeah, I finished in like 2000. No, I finished high school in 2009.
Oh my gosh, Heavy started middle school when I was a freaking junior in high school.
Heavy started middle school when I was in fucking college.
That's so crazy to think about. I don't feel that old. Holy frick.
Heavy over here being like 3 years old. I'm over here being 31.
Yeah, we old as heck.
Oh, Polish school system's different?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about that. How's your school system like? I'm always curious about that.
It doesn't matter, because no matter what you say, the U.S. system is worse.
I'm just curious of what other systems are like.
I'm not letting the nitro blow up.
Yeah, you're just going too early. Now you're running into nitro. Stop.
Make me.
Stop.
Make me.
2007. Oh, I read that already.
It's
I
helping
can't
prevent
make
my
you.
aneurysm. Graduated what in 2012? Middle school? High school? College?
If it's high school, then you're probably the same age as me, Billy Bob.
I graduated in 2024.
Oh god, man. Getting old is just like, I don't even know how to, it's just a weird feeling. Like, I remember, like, people who, like, were born in the 2000s weren't adults, and now, like, they're adults. That's so weird to think about. Like, oh, you were born in the 2000s, you're a toddler. But now, like, you're born in the 2000s, you're a legit an adult right now. And, like, my brain is like, whoa, that's gnarly to think about. Yeah, Kim Yo is, like, really young. I mean, Vincent. Kim Yo, same person. You can say Vincent is what the preferred name is.
Yeah, and you double their age, and that's their maturity level, though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, age doesn't really say much about maturity. Honestly, I think we put way too much emphasis on people being adults and like hitting a point where like they're mature. Like I feel like our whole lives were maturing. Like there is no like maximum mature state. And it definitely doesn't have anything to do with your age. That's for sure. Cause like, here's the thing, like when I was in middle school, they were legit adults.
Finally fucking says what?
Well, probably what I said.
What were you saying? I wasn't paying attention.
Just that like, there is no mature age. Like most of the time adults are still trying to figure out some of the most basic things. You know? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I used to think that adults had it all figured out, but they don't even have it all figured out.
It doesn't, but oh my god, dude.
At least you're saving yourself.
No, fuck!
Sorry.
Get out!
Stop. That was funny. Come on.
I say every time you say something, you jinx it. Every time.
I didn't.
At least you're saving yourself. Dies.
I don't know why that happens. Okay, I don't know. I can't say anything nice. It's not my fault.
No, because you end up fucking it up and making it not nice.
Oh, thank you so much for the 100 bits, Billy Bob. Appreciate it. Hopefully you're doing swell. But yeah, I think automobile work is really cool. There's someone on Instagram I follow who does a lot of it.
Make it one more fucking time and see what happens.
Stop! It's just the ground pound looks funny.
No, it's not. It's pain. I'm dying inside and outside. This level is giving me chest and stomach pains.
Stop.
No, literally it is. It literally is.
Yeah, but yeah, most people think that like as an adult you figure everything out, and it's like nah. Like a lot of the times everyone's just figuring everything out as they go along.
I had my first relationship when I was fucking 12. Was it a serious relationship? No, not really, but I mean, I'm 12, so.
Oh yeah, it probably does get really hot in a garage. Dang, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that side of it. Dang. I mean, that's good.
My job was fun when I wasn't having guns pulled on my face.
Yeah, as long as you find someone that you can, I feel like finding someone that you can grow with is ideally what matters the most. Like, I don't really think it makes sense to try and...
the thing is, if you're like 55 years old, does it really matter if you can grow into somebody at that point?
You always are. That's the reality of it. Like, that's what I don't like, though. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you hit 40, there's no growing. You just are who you are. No. To me, that's a lifelong thing.
But, like...
You're older, but that's a lifelong thing. Like, there are literally people who have completely changed their lives over.
My point is that at 55, you're going to know how to grow on your own without somebody else. You don't need somebody else at that point.
Oh, no, you don't need anybody else. I'm saying you want to find someone that's willing to grow, but you both are growing together, but you don't need each other. Stop. But you don't need each other to grow. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't need anybody to grow, but ideally, you want to find somebody. I honestly think the cycle fricked you there.
Well, I mean, the cycle can be manipulated, and I just didn't do it right.
Oh.
I've been manipulating the cycle this whole time. I just didn't do it right.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I didn't even think that was possible. But yeah, that's good. As long as you find someone that you feel like you all both on the same page, that's what matters. I didn't even know there are boxes up there.
Mm-hmm. That's why you have to do it in that order.
Oh.
So the TNT up top will blow them up, because you can't get up there any other way.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Dude, why the hell does it keep doing that? Go away. I asked her about a couple days after I met her, and she was flattered, but wanted to get to know me more, which is a great thing, to be honest, because...
Oh my god!
Because the more I spend time with her, the more I learned that we wouldn't mix as well. She was religious and I wasn't. I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, you're the one who determines what your deal breakers are. Like, there's some people who aren't religious, but they can still date religious people. And, I honestly question if I could do that. I don't think I could do that.
So what level of chest pain should I have before I'm concerned? That was not a joke!
I don't think I could handle that. So as long as you, it's really just, do you know yourself and what's good for you, and you're gonna continue to learn more about yourself as you go through life, and you'll be able to be like, yeah, that's something that I can handle. Oh no, that's something that I can't handle, and it's not right for me. And you just have to figure that out as you go along.
Yeah, baggage though.
Like for me, I can't handle people that don't want to grow as a person. That's like a big turnoff for me.
I can't handle that constantly smoke and drink.
Well, I mean, we've always had that as a turnoff for both of us. But like, I literally can't put up with that.
I am in pain.
Stop. Like, I literally can't handle that. That's literally what made most of my past relationships go really bad. And now I'm realizing, yeah, that's just something I don't handle well, so, like, I really
If you want to be in a relationship with somebody that's neurodivergent, hit me up after the stream.
What do you mean? What?
I'm neurodivergent.
Bro. The hell?
It's a joke! Will you stop being dumb? Jesus fucking Christ.
I had no idea what you were talking about.
Can't take her anywhere.
Can't take. I didn't know what you were talking about at all. I was so confused. My last
Not only that,
girlfriend.
but they're fucking 16. I won't date anyone who's below 20.
Last girlfriend being beautiful and loyal to a full-blown literal crackhead in less than a month. Been out of that relationship for 2 years, still haven't recovered. Luckily, I didn't go down that same road. Oh my god, that's so sad. Dang, that would be so hard to handle.
Like, literal crackhead, that's just...
It's so easy for drugs to take over someone's life. That's the thing.
Yeah. I would know.
But that's... I can't imagine watching that. Like, I feel like that would just be so hard to, like, watch play out. Like, someone you love, like, just completely losing themselves in that way.
Or somebody that, you know, you thought loved you, or that you did love. Now you don't even have a like, they don't even fucking... They don't even fucking. Okay.
I made a snort. But yeah, that's really hard.
Like, just imagine going from somebody who loves you and you love them back, and then all they care about eventually is drugs and other things. Like,
yeah, that's how it happens. That's one of the things I thought was interesting about Breaking Bad. That I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure some people probably analyzed it in that sense. But the way that they would show how drug use can just completely change a person's direction in life. Like, you could have so much going for you, and drugs just completely takes all that away. So, like, stuff's no joke for real.
and it
like,
also shows what, like, dealing and creating that stuff can turn into, what it can do to a relationship and friendship that you've had for so long. Why do you exist, game?
I don't know if any of you have seen Breaking Bad, but one of the most heartbreaking things about it, Jesse, we need to cook. Well, yeah. Walt ending
Where
up
do
being
you
like
think you're going?
a complete frick.
Inside. I bought the place.
Oh yeah, I showed him that clip recently. But to me, one of the saddest things is I can't remember. It was that girl with the black hair.
Why am I getting burned while still crouched?
That Jesse really liked. I can't remember what. I think it was like season 3.
I think your name was Abigail or like Frank.
But like,
or Fred.
if you think about it, if she never met Jesse, she would have never died probably. Like
No, I
she
think
did,
she
did drugs, but she started doing them more heavily because of him. We gotta be real about that. And it's so sad to think about that because all of that could have been avoided.
Is this game that hard or am I just this bad?
It's hard.
But is it this hard?
No, he didn't let her die. Basically, wait. Oh,
Don't
you're saying...
speak.
I know what you're saying.
Don't speak. Motherfuck!
Yeah, oh, then I won't talk about it too much then if you haven't watched it. I recommend it. It's a pretty good show. I enjoyed it. There's a lot you can take away from it, I feel like. But, like, you're not wrong, Vincent, but it's just the reality of it is none of that would have happened if he wasn't involved with her. Like, that's just the truth. As sad as that is. He entering her life made her get worse with her drugs and her habits, and it ended up being the cause of her life ending. So, like, as sad as that is, that's the reality, which is probably why it had such a huge effect on Jesse for so long, because it's like, he knows that. Very sad, but it happens all the time in life. But yeah, I won't talk more about it because I don't want to spoil it.
Fucking shit.
Why did you try that way?
Because you did nitro. Fuck.
But yeah, it is a good show. I highly recommend it. I also really recommend Dexter if you haven't watched that.
Dexter.
I actually think Dexter... I like Dexter more than Breaking Bad, but only because I'm more of a psychological person.
Nah, I think it's a better show.
You do? Oh, I don't know. Dexter is incredibly good. I gotta admit, though, the last few seasons kind of sus as hell, but if you just ignore those...
Yeah,
like, one of the best shows I've seen ever.
I don't really appreciate the direction they took with it.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they did with those last few seasons.
Can that stop happening?
I think could you have saved that? I don't even know. But yeah, I
If I
highly
was
recommend
good, yes,
Dexter.
but I'm not.
I keep forgetting to watch the new one on Amazon. We gotta watch that. But now it's just gonna be me and you. But yeah,
I mean, it doesn't have to be, but...
You don't want to watch it, you saying?
Like, when did I say that?
I didn't... Well, you said it doesn't have to be. What do you mean?
It doesn't have to be just us.
Who else wants to watch it with us? I'm just telling you...
I can name at least 2 people.
Really? Oh, well then they can join. I don't give a frick. I was just referring to the fact that obviously the other person is not in my life.
One of them you don't know, and the other one you don't care to know.
When did I ever say I don't care to know someone? When have I ever said that?
Who do you know that I know you for a fact you don't care to know?
I don't know. I really don't
know. Her
know.
name starts with the letter A.
I didn't say I didn't care to know. She doesn't care to know.
Well, I
You
mean,
literally invited her to the Discord. She could know me as much as she wants.
she's in it.
Yeah, but that's my point. I wouldn't...
Well, I mean...
I wouldn't... I wouldn't invite someone to be closer to me and not want to associate. But I'm not going to force association, you know? I hate when mom and dad...
That's why I moved out with them.
Stop.
From them. They got divorced anyway, so...
But yeah, I don't mind being friends with her. If she wants to talk. I took out these Jolly Ranchers and never ate them. That was weird. If she wants to talk and get to know me, I'm always open to anything. I just don't always get back right away. Like, I sometimes just get lost in my own stuff.
She does get back very quickly 99% of the time.
If she's really quickly at getting back, I might become that way. That's how it basically works with me. I kind of adapt to the person who I'm talking to.
Finish what? Crash 4? Because I don't advise doing that.
I mean, if you can, it's hard, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be really rewarding when you do get to the end, right?
I thought that about completing the Archon.
What's the Archon?
We did yesterday in Zombies.
Oh, did you feel better about doing? I thought I felt better.
I mean, yeah, but no.
Why?
Because it just feels like, okay, we won, but like, why?
I mean, just to do it, it's a challenge.
Yeah, but like, I feel like it doesn't have any substance to it.
But hopefully you're doing well, Smug, and hey, Cooler. Hopefully all is going swell in life. What's wrong? What happened? Oh, you didn't get that box. Wait, that's the end.
Yeah, I know.
You can do that. You're
you're taking. You said it couldn't take an hour.
It's fine. You're taking way too long with like right when you jump up at the top.
I know what I'm doing. I'm bad.
I'm just saying you're delaying. That's it. That's literally the only thing.
Hence, I'm bad part.
Yeah, it's probably just nerves. But I'm saying like that I think that you could do it.
I think it's the chest pains.
I'm having. Oh, never mind. We don't work with that.
I'm having chest pains.
It's so like not okay, but like.
It is because it's a comedy parody video.
Oh man.
It took Life Alert 8 hours to find me. Life Alert saved the woman's life. Most likely.
What are we talking about? We were talking about a lot of random crap. We were talking right then. We were referencing like a comedy thing, a comedy skit, or like a what do you call it? A meme or what?
It's somebody he made a song out of a TV commercial for Life Alert for old people where they say, "Help! I've fallen and I can't get up. I can't get up."
Yeah, it's like messed up as hell, but like it is kind of funny how they did it.
The old lady.
And then like the old man in that song is like, "I'm having chest pain.
I'm having a heart attack, a heart attack, a heart attack, and I can't get up."
Stop. It's so bad, but like, yeah, like you need to just go. Yeah, like that. Well, not miss, but.
I did it.
That is exactly what you need to do, though. Because before you were hesitating.
I need to do that and do it better. But my point is, I am bad at this video game and most others.
Well, I was just saying you should. Like, it's not like you're far off. You literally just need to just like not hesitate.
Far out, bruh.
It's so funny that you just have it running like that in the wall or walking into it. But yeah, anyways, we were talking about good shows otherwise.
I'm calling paramedics.
We were talking about Breaking Bad being good and Dexter being good. If any of y'all know any shows like that are good...
Orange is the New Black!
Please recommend that for me. I don't know about all that. Please recommend that. I know that Orange is the New Black is good.
Purple
I heard it was good.
is the new pink!
But I just don't really, I don't know. I just never really watched that show. I'm watching Dahmer right now on Netflix.
What is Daredevil? Because I saw you say you were trying to get your mom to watch that, but I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either.
Altered Carbon?
Altered Carbon.
That sounds like a car show. Something about cars. Oh, Marvel? Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of like superhero. What?
A big fact.
I'm a big fat. But I'm not a big fan of like all that superhero type stuff. It's just there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my thing.
I don't know what it is lately, but they keep making a lot of media off of Dahmer, and I'm really wondering why. Stop. And I'm really trying to wonder why.
Why are you so mean to me?
Because you're the one who's committing to these. I'm gonna do regular levels, not this crap.
This is part of 100%.
I don't really like Marvel, and I don't really like superhero stuff. But I'm not gonna like bash someone for liking it or anything.
I'm not either. But
it's just not for me.
My thing.
Yeah, this is not my type of thing.
Same thing with like. I was talking to Ashley, and she's like a huge Star Wars fan. And I'm like, I don't know any of what you're saying, and she spazzed out for like an hour raging about it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but I'm always interested in it for the psychological factor. I feel like it's like a character study. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit distorted because it's for entertainment.
How do you say what you typed, Smug? Movie what? Utoya? Is that how it's said, or is it something else?
I was gonna look that up. Hold on. Yeah, I don't even know how you would say that. But yeah, like I don't really like the fact that we're capitalizing off of like the fact that somebody did what he did. but at the same time, I'm interested in it psychologically, like as it's like a character study to like look into. And dang, how'd you jump that high that time? Holy frick! You just flew into that nitro. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, like the Marvel people who make superhero movies, they make so much freaking money.
Who is the island that Anders brave that kills
Oh
I don't know how to
God.
say the name of that, but
That has to be probably one of the worst things in Norway, right?
probably the worst.
Because that sounds I never hear things about that like that in Norway. That has got to be one of the most horrible things that's ever happened there. But yeah, I don't usually like it either. I only watch because I'm interested in how they're gonna represent the psychological aspects of a character like that, how the actor would handle it. But I really wish that we didn't do this because it also just makes me think that, like, if we're gonna do stuff like that, right? This is what motivates a lot of these people sometimes, you know? As sad as it is,
like,
the fact
so
that
why did you do it? For fame, exactly what you're giving me right now is why I did it.
Yeah, so it's like, why do we give them what they want? We should just act like they're completely irrelevant and just forget about them. But at the same time, we can't do that either because if you don't think about it, you can't learn from it. So like, you have to learn from it, but not dramatize it too much. So the fact that we're using it as a form of entertainment, I feel like is a little bit risky. Like, we could do it a little bit better.
If you want to see real struggle cooler, just watch me play this game for another half an hour.
Inglorious. I feel like I've seen that before, but...
You have. I mean, everyone knows that movie from the title because of that, but, I mean... Wow. Fuck you, Coco.
Oh, it's a quiz.
Didn't do it, Smug, if you feel like that.
Oh my god, they're trying to steal a Nazi V-2 rocket? Jesus. Well, that's a clip? What happened? What clip?
Me failing miserably at life.
Feel free to make any clips you want, because, like, I just have them all uploaded to YouTube, so... Yeah, I don't know anything about those Cartoon Networks and... Not Cartoon Network. Those, Marvel movies and whatever, those different things. I don't know anything about that. So I can't even comment on that type of stuff. Rip deaf sound. Oh, he made a sound.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do instead of rage now. Just makes random crazy sounds.
Then you're becoming me. Good.
I said I make crazy sounds, not I laugh.
I do make crazy sounds though, and laugh.
No, I can't laugh at my frustrations. I don't have that in me.
What do you mean? What's wrong with saying that? That's literally what I do, and it keeps me from being angry. Well, no, because the thing is... Oh, do you mind bringing a straw? I forgot to. Oh, I downloaded the beta. I was thinking of streaming myself playing it, but I don't know. No, I mean, honestly, I would date myself. I won't even lie. I would date myself. But... since I don't have that luxury... I'm just kidding. But... I don't want to date myself. Whip is very different from me, and it's good that he is. Because I feel like I need someone who will actually push back against me when I'm very forceful myself. I need someone who can be the opposite. I really benefit from that. What I meant, though, by saying that it's good he's becoming like me, is that I want him... Yeah, I am Cooler. You didn't know that? Cooler didn't know we were dating. What I meant though is he's working on trying to help control his anger and be calmer. And like what I do is to avoid getting really upset is like I just laugh. I just laugh at my own mistakes and just make weird sounds. Like that's just literally my way of dealing with it. I thought he was your childhood friend. I mean, kinda? I think you can kind of get away with that. I met him when I was a junior in high school. So I was kind of child-ish. But yeah, he was in the beginning of college. So like he was an adult, but I was like basically an adult. Like I think I was like 17 or something. I don't even remember. Whatever age I was. Sweet home Alabama. Alright, hopefully work goes well. Appreciate you hanging out, Cooler. You did?
Might not, but I thought.
Oh, if you did, I lost it. I don't know how that happened, but... You got this, bro. Stop being sus. I did record some nice clip from the Modern Warfare 2 bit, and I can't wait to use it for my YouTube. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna try it after we play this. And I upload like the 3 parts from all the crashing. I will definitely try it out. I didn't know it was like open beta, open booty.
Can you turn that light off?
Which light? Why?
It's hurting my eyes. My left eye specifically.
I can just turn the brightness down. I can't turn it off.
I mean, that would work too, just not so bright.
Alright, you have your hand on my chair, so just get somewhere safe.
Somewhere safe.
What do you mean?
Nowhere is safe when there's this content.
What about that? Better? This is gonna make the stream darker, but it's okay.
No one wants to see me anyway.
Stop! That's not the point.
My point.
But yeah, I definitely want to,
Man, I am so
record some of that ish, you know?
bad at this game.
Oh. You DM me. Oh, what's this?
I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen.
Dang, I need a new phone so bad.
You really do. You should have spent some time this weekend looking into that.
I mean, I'm ready to do it whenever because I think I should still be able to sign in to work. You know? As long as we have the Wi-Fi, and we're gonna have that. So I'm down to do it whenever. It's just we need to have the money. Because it's gonna be pretty expensive in the beginning, you know? So maybe we should wait until after the cats.
Is your phone gonna last that long?
I don't know. I've literally just been hoping it does this whole time, so it's not much different.
I mean, the cats, as far as connections go, it's all on me, but I know what you mean, like money-wise, and you're probably right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so like we should probably just make sure that that gets done first. Then we can worry about that.
She even said if I want to pay later, much later, I can. She told me that flat out.
As long as she's okay with that.
For the adults, she doesn't care.
Then yeah, I'm okay with that.
She said she's more concerned about them getting a place than somebody paying for it. I did it too early. Oh my god, I hate my life. I hate my life.
Stop. Don't say that. I don't like that. It's so bad.
What about, like, I hate my life?
Oh, wow. She's messaging me like, when can I... She left her cable over here. She's like, when can I get my cable? Now? Say something nice.
Like, why can't you just come over now? Like, we don't care. Just get your ass over here. We're talking about you, Smug. I'm talking about her other partner.
I literally streamed with
Some
her.
wench.
Dang, son. I literally streamed with her yesterday. You can go watch the yesterday's stream. I'm gonna be sending Vincent or Kimyo to you.
No!
Anyway, Kimyo to you.
Kimyo,
that so he can make a little video edit of it. It was pretty fun, and she actually impressed
Stop calling him Kimyo.
Well, I was saying Kimyo to you because they don't know if they know them as Vincent. Oh, you don't have to watch the VOD. It's gonna be edited. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna give it to Vincent to edit. It'll be good times. It'll be good times.
If you call her a wench one more time.
No, she's not a wench. She's really cool. She has the potential. As I like to say in my mind. Only some people can put up with the pole, and she has the potential.
Wrench.
I believe in her ability. But yeah, she got through all of Hub 100% in less than 2 hours.
I'd like to see you get through this in less than 2 hours.
I wouldn't even put her through
I'd like to see myself do that.
I wouldn't even put her through this. Wait, what do you mean? How's it gross? I'm just saying that because most people, I'm realizing that my personality is very irritable. I'm realizing that my personality is very, it's something that a lot of people can't handle.
I mean, Smug literally just said he can't.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But that, I mean, like, when I get close to you, I mean, in that sense. So, I'm trying to be more careful with who I get close to because I know that now.
If you can't handle her worse, you don't get the brat.
I mean, that's basically how it is with me, though.
You
like,
don't get the brat.
Like, my best, when I'm doing really well, like, you're gonna have a great time. But, like, when I'm not doing well, things can get sus as hell, and if you can't handle it, you just need to get up and be gone, bro. Be gone, thought! I'm just kidding. But yeah, you just need to be gone.
Don't say that again.
You won't be able to handle it. And I don't even blame you. I don't even blame people for not being able to handle it. Oh, my chocolate nuts. I can't believe you did that.
Can clip it.
Alright, hold on, I'm gonna clip that.
Clip that.
Hopefully it's working. I'm hitting the clip button, but I can't see it. I'm gonna look in that clip bot thing, and then hopefully it'll be there. That's how I do it. You made it here again. You did it! Congrats! Congratulations!
End the stream.
Wow. Poggith!
It's only one more to go then.
And don't worry about that for now. We're just gonna go to, what are we gonna do? What should I try? We finished that. We barely did anything in that. Oh, we only have inverted here.
I think so, yeah.
I can try this inverted. It's not gonna go well, but I can try it. Yeah, I did it! You got 600 pounds of dick.
That's not disturbing at all.
Oh, sorry, I forgot I had to get that first. It's like, wait, why can't I get it? What the frick? Oh, I remember this level.
You remember that it sucks?
I remember it being hard. Okay, I'm trying to remember this is inverted, because like it's like I recognize this, but I don't at the same time. Oh no, my balls! I did it a little too late. Yahoo! I don't know where I was going. Dude, what keeps happening to my double jump?
You're slapping into the platform face first.
Oh, is that what's happening? Like, I can't double jump. My balls are moist.
Why am I dating you?
I don't know.
Also, you're walking off the platform and then jumping.
Is that what I'm doing wrong?
So you were already using your double jump.
No!
That's why you didn't have it.
Oh, that's probably my fault. I see what I was doing then. I thought I could save that. I could not save that. Rip. Alright.
I mean, you could have if you were better.
Are you being a moisturizer again, dude?
No, I mean, I'm not good enough to do it either, but you could have solved it and saved it, but neither one of us are good enough to do that at that point.
Oh my god, I don't know what moisturizer I was eating.
Why were you eating moisturizer in the first place?
No, I thought I could do it in time.
Nope, you couldn't.
Sorry.
No one finds you amusing.
I do. Frick.
You don't.
A steam locomotive.
You know you can skip that platform.
You know you can not be mean, yeah.
I'm just saying, you can skip it. The hell you being mean to me for?
I'm just kidding. What platform are you talking about?
The one you were just... the very first one.
Oh.
I don't use that first platform when I play this level.
Is it because of that reason?
Partially, yes. And it's swag strats. You're not gonna get the other one?
What other one?
The other crate.
Oh, frick, my bad. I don't know why I just acted like that wasn't there.
All crates are no balls.
Oh, frick, I forgot. This is that spot where you do it like this.
Remember that ceiling crate?
Oh, yeah. Hold up. Mommy! Okay, I made it.
I don't know why you did that.
Don't know why I did what.
Where are you going?
No idea. Where am I supposed to be doing?
Getting the crate on the right side?
Oh! Oops!
Why are you shouting?
I don't know.
You stop shouting.
Stop yelling, Daddy! What crate? Oh! I didn't even see that!
You know you have the mask that you could just pause and get it safely.
You know you can suck my eye.
From the nitro.
You know you can suck my eye?
I mean, I know I can, but I don't want to.
Suck it, Daddy! Oh, two. Stop. I didn't know what you were doing. That's my eye. My eye will never be the same.
You told me to suck it.
Ah, this is not right. No, I cooked! Dude, how do I happen?
How do I happen?
Well, like, no. Like, how does that happen, dude? It's like when I jump in slow-mo, it's like I over-jump and stuff. Like, how does that even happen?
Toys for Bob. Please just spin and stop doing that.
Oh! Sorry.
And that.
Okay. That didn't
And
happen. That didn't happen. Don't worry about it. Didn't happen. Alright, here we go. The freaking spikes hate you in this. They hate you!
Yeah, the hitboxes are pretty awful. Mm-hmm.
Oh, cock. I knew that was gonna happen. Don't worry, y'all. I got this. Just be on the lookout for the door because, like, she said she's gonna come over to pick up that cable, so I don't want to miss it when I'm trying to focus on not getting my dick slapped. Oh, cock! You know, you can hit the ball sack!
I don't know why you're doing it that way anyway.
Eat my eye. No, don't. No! What the hell? How did I not die?
Luck.
Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Why are you laughing?
Because you keep pausing in the exact same spot and saying never mind.
Was there anything in there I missed?
I don't believe so. How many do you have? And non-inverted, it's 28, but it's probably the same. Alright, go for the bonus.
You think so?
I think I don't remember anything else there. Everything in this level is pretty straightforward as far as crates go. Except for that one on the ceiling.
No one saw that. Didn't happen. Nope. Sorry.
You also don't want to do that way.
Oh, you don't? You cockstrap! Oh. Sorry, that was really funny. Come on. You laughing?
Mm.
See, this is how you have fun with things and don't get upset.
But you are upsetting me.
Sorry.
Will you stop taking hits? You need those.
Wait, how was I supposed to do that? Wait, how you do?
On
Oh,
top?
I need to make sure I get back up on again, or
Right before the natural blows up, slide jump out and then jump back.
ow! So how do I do this part? Do I have to make sure I get back up here?
Yeah, try to go up.
Oh, okay, that's what I did wrong. No one saw that. So what am I supposed to do here?
Slide jump probably. Before the natural goes off. With the mask.
That was not a slide
crawling.
jump. That was not a slide jump. Homie bro was crawling. Homie brethren was crawling.
Let me actually check this 100% so I can see where the gem is.
Ah! Okay. Oh, let me take this off
What's this
then.
called?
I had that sitting up there.
What's this level called?
How do I check? Level stats? Cortex Island inverted?
No. It's Cortex Castle inverted.
Oh, sorry. I go to the back! No, I didn't slide long enough. It's so weird to slide. It's so weird when you slide in slow-mo. Because, like, I'm so used to getting further faster.
We missed the crate already.
We did? Where?
But I think if you hit the nitro thing at the end, it shouldn't matter.
You think so?
Yeah, because it's surrounded by nitro crates, so it should be fine.
It's so hard. Oh, wait a minute. I could probably take the slow-mo off when I'm doing that, maybe? I don't know. Why does it feel so weird? Dude, why is my slide stop? It's like my slide just stops. Stop stopping!
Well, as long as that one blows up from the nitro switch at the end, you would have 25 instead of 23. But you also didn't blow up that other nitro crate, so...
What other nitro crate?
The one above the golden fruit.
I can't do... Why can't I slide with that?
Maybe you have to do it off the nitro?
You mean jump back on the nitro?
No, I mean jump onto the nitro and slide from the nitro instead of underneath it.
Maybe. I just feel like my slide, when I'm in slow-mo, I can't slide the way I feel like I usually do.
Let me see how he does it.
Oh.
Well, he blows up the nitro and then just does a slide jump. So slow it down, walk into the nitro, and then walk to the edge of the platform.
Oh.
Where, like, basically walk to where the TNT is. And then slide jump from there instead. From the edge of that platform. Didn't you know you can slide jump really far?
Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, frick. I got scared from that thing shooting.
Yeah.
I hate that thing, because you can't kill it.
Yeah. But it only shoots one spot.
Yeah. It's always the spot I need to be, though. Frick you.
Well, I mean, yeah, why would they put it in a spot that's irrelevant?
I know, but it's just so mean. It hurts my feelings.
It hurts my ball sack. Especially when it tingles.
Yeah, I'm speedrunning the rest of this.
Well, I mean, you've done it 100 times.
Oh no,
You hit your head.
Yeah, I slid. I didn't slide long enough. Honestly, I wasn't even looking at him. I was looking at the timing for that thing. That's why I did that. Balls. Balls to the wall. Oh no, that was bad.
And you have to do this part in a certain order.
I do?
Mm-hmm. Like, once you're up there, the crates that you need to get are all... you're supposed to do in a certain order. After that, aside from that question mark up there that you would get first.
When should I go? Like when he's shooting it?
Probably. Alright, you're safe there. Don't move. Well, move forward a little bit. I said a little bit.
I was trying to move forward a little bit. I thought I did. Mean!
That spot must just affect more than we think, than it looks like. But I don't know where you're supposed to stop.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, help me. I'm scared.
Wow.
Wow, I jumped too early. Frick. Uh-oh. Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, you could stop right in the middle there. If you can land, but I don't know how you're gonna get back out of it, so... wouldn't recommend that either. I mean, I guess you could stay on the crates that are bouncing up and down the metal ones. You can stop there for a second. And I can tell you how you have to do it. Slow time down.
Oh, frick, sorry. Right, stupid. Wait, no, I don't want to walk on
you
it,
want to
right?
be on top.
No, I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting I can't stand there. Sorry.
It gives me anxiety.
It does. Frick!
Just like when you watch me, you get anxiety. I watch you and get anxiety.
Yep. This game is just anxiety inducing. Don't recommend this game if you have a lot of anxiety.
If you struggle with anxiety, you'll play this game and struggle with anxiety and PTSD. Oh, thanks, practice.
Yo, dopes. Dude, why am I always doing it at the wrong time? There we go.
There you go.
Alright, now what do I need to do? You want to do this part?
I mean, no.
Hold on, let me eat some Jolly Ranchers. Wow. Jolly Ranch me, Daddy! Why did they like not give you anywhere to stand? Oh man.
The thing is, I was spamming R2 and it wasn't doing anything either. So the game literally just killed me because this game sucks.
I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm good enough. I can only do parts of these levels. Honestly, it gives me so much anxiety that I panic.
I didn't do it in the right order. Now we're fucked.
Yeah, that looks confusing as hell, bro.
It's not.
Alright. While you're doing that, just chilling.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that thing, man. It can go suck an eye. Man, those things are so annoying. Whoa, nice. Oh, wow. Really? Ah!
Fuck this game. With these hitboxes of fucking Russia and Japan on one fucking pixel. You need severe help.
I'm doing some boxing, bro. I'm boxing on the inside.
That's why you need help.
Wait, it can hit you up there? I thought it was shooting near the boxes.
I fucking hate you.
I thought it was shooting near the boxes.
Apparently it just electrifies the whole platform. You have to be outside of the bonus area to not get hit by the fucking thing. Fucking bullshit game.
Jolly my rancher. Alright, she's gonna be coming over now. She's gonna be coming over now, so we'll just be on the lookout for the door. I'll get it, by the way. So, if you hear it, just let me know. If I just don't hear it or something. What's slap echo? I just realized there's a button on there that says slap echo. I don't know what that means. Slap that echo. Oh, wait a minute. I was supposed to go to your Fiverr and see if I can... I don't know if I can make a review on your Fiverr about the other song you made for me without buying another one from you, but I could also just buy another one too.
I don't know where you went, Vincent, but you probably want to go back to that.
We're just suffering, you know, same old. Ah, you almost got that perfect without getting hit there. I'm just not gonna say anything nice anymore. I don't want to not say nice things, but like, what am I gonna do, bro? Yo, what's up, Simply Day? How you doing? First time chatter. Would you like to fill out the form?
No.
If you do that, I will be able to remember you every single time you stop by.
No one wants to fill the form out.
I'm glad you're doing good. All you gotta do is copy and paste the form exactly as you see it there and put in your answers and then paste it to the form R command.
Fuck you.
But yeah, glad to hear you're doing well. That's what matters. That's what matters the most. What brought you here? Was it crash floor pain? Was it Twitter? I'm always curious to see what brings someone by for the first time. Sometimes it's the game, sometimes it's Twitter, sometimes it's something else. I don't even know. But I appreciate you.
Sometimes it's the autism.
Oh, sometimes it is the autism. Like, you're not even wrong. Twitter, sodium content. Oh my God! Do they keep advertising my stream? That is so nice of them. I don't know. I don't know how people say mean things about them. I don't see it, but I appreciate their.
Oh fuck me!
What happened? What? I appreciate their kindness. Seriously. So, appreciate you stopping by. Are you a streamer yourself? If you're a streamer and you filled that form, I would definitely check out your stream as well. Yeah, that's really kind of them to do. I appreciate the kindness. I think I did finally fix that thing though, because that thing that shows like Billy Bob twice with bits, it used to like glitch out and like move all over the place. Now I think it's finally just staying in place. So I think I finally did fix that to an extent. So that's good, because that was really annoying.
It's okay to cry.
Because I made my own custom thing that updates as anyone does anything on the stream, it'll update. But it would always like glitch and move around like a booty eye. Nice. Yo, perfect. I'm gonna take that. And do that real quick. I just need to add. How do I? Oh, okay. I was about to say. I was gonna ask you how to pronounce that because I was gonna struggle with that if that was what you wanted me to refer to you as. Oh, I fricked it. Oh, that's why. I need to be more lenient with it. It's way too picky. It's way too picky. Like spaces and stuff like that break it. I was being so strict, but I gotta chill. I think I know how to make that a little bit less strict though. But thank you so much. I'm gonna pull up Notepad and add you immediately as a notepad. But yeah, what do you stream? How's your streaming going? Wait, what the hell? Why did I skip? Not even gonna question it. Not even gonna question it. Alright, anyways. Awesome. Let me add you immediately. Thanks for asking. I streamed The Sims 4 a bunch and a bunch of cozy games. Yeah, I know Salty does The Sims 4. I love The Sims so much.
He also does. I think he was doing Animal Crossing last time I checked too.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that. But yeah, I love Sim streamers. It's just like Sim streams are like just perfect to put on when you just want to chill.
And this is perfect when you want to watch somebody suffer.
Yeah, this is perfect when you want to watch people suffer through pain. You know, there's content for everybody.
Can you not? Dickhead. Fucking Christ.
I swear to my balls.
This is gonna be a very short stream if you keep putting me through this.
I keep putting you through this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I just spent an hour and a half on a flashback level, and you're making me do the bonus.
I'm not making you do nothing, bro.
You gave me the controller and said to do the bonus.
I said do that part. I could do the other part.
Yeah, so it's just
Yeah,
do the
these
bonus.
games are so hard. They are. But yeah, nice to meet you, Simply. And I'm definitely gonna add your Twitch on here as well, so I can check out your Twitch sometime. Oh, you know what I should do? I should just do it from the name. Yeah, let's do that. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I like to make everybody who stops by feel special so that they know that they are important. Because honestly, streamers are nothing without the people who stop by to support them, so I want each and every one of y'all to feel good. Okay, since you're watching it on your phone, I'm just gonna put it on over here as well. What is this level called again?
Cortex Castle.
Well, I guess I don't have to put it on here then, because you have it, and it would just block the screen. So if I do pull it up on there, it'll be good. Alrighty, so we're past that now. Oh no, I forgot. No, I forgot this is so weird. Oh, it's even worse inverted. Oh no.
Oh my god.
I almost saved my balls. Oh no, did you see that?
By the way, you can double jump up to the middle one. You don't even need to use the first or the last one.
You can double jump to the middle?
Mm-hmm. And then double jump over the last one too. You don't even need any of the others.
Oops, I wasn't on the platform. Oh.
By the way, the hidden gem is here.
Where? Did I
In the
pass
checkpoint.
it? Oh.
So you need to double jump onto the TNT, and then come out of it, jump up and spin all the way up to the right with the ability.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay, I thought you meant like just jump it. My favorite older game is Spyro the Dragon. Yeah, Spyro was one of the other series I still have to play through. Just in case you didn't know, like, what I've been trying to do. Up there?
Not like that at all.
Oh.
I said bounce on the first TNT, then jump off of it. Don't bounce off it, just jump off of it, then spin and go up.
Oops.
You're not jumping off of it, you're jumping up in the air. You need to jump off to the right, otherwise you're not going to get enough height.
Off to the right and then up?
Mm-hmm. Not high enough.
Whoa! But yeah, this game is really hard. I just even use it to go up there. I missed it?
You weren't quite high enough. You need to be like off the screen to get it.
Hmm.
I don't know how.
Why the hell would they do this? This is so mean. Oops, I dumped too much. Woo! But yeah, I hope to play Spyro soon. That's on my list. I still have some,
Try doing what he did. Bounce on the first TNT and run from the second one and jump off the first.
There we go.
I mean, you got it, but that's not what I said to do.
But then what do you do? Die?
You might be able to make it anyway.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wait, I forgot.
It doesn't matter,
I have
though.
the ability. Yeah, once you get the gem, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
This is so weird.
What is?
Just the inverted. Like, I know this part, but it's, like, weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oops. I hit the wrong button. But yeah, I played through all the Jak and Daxter games. I have one more Ratchet and Clank game to play through. Oh, I only needed one? I have one more Ratchet and Clank game to play through. And then this is the last Crash game. I think Spyro is one of the last collections. Wait, what am I supposed to do here? Oh, what was I supposed to do?
Spin with the ability.
Oh. Dude, why are you so mean?
Because you did this the first time, too.
I don't remember, bro. Okay, now you have to get it. I do not remember how to play the frickin' game, you geek. Walk off, you prick. Oh, here we go. Oh, that's a nice thing to walk into. Right here. Alright. Oh, my chocolate nuts. Oh, sorry.
Ew.
Oh, yeah, we just say weird things when we play games. This is how it is. Oops, I keep forgetting you have to jump off the TNT first.
Oh, man.
I'm so great at this game, as you can see. Oops, I messed up. Oops.
Now you're just panicking, I think.
Yeah, I'm being balls. It's not my fault. Someone hot walked in.
I've been here the whole time.
Wow. Alright. Die, bitch. Why do you have to hit the other guy twice and that guy only hit once? It's
Because he's
weird.
already close to the edge.
What the hell am I doing?
From the other platform. From
What
the
am
left.
I eating chocolate for, alright?
Do I have to do this part too?
What am I eating chocolate for?
You want me to do this part?
Go away.
I'm asking you a legitimate question.
I'm
trying to be
asking you to
nice,
go away.
Not trying to be condescending.
I'm asking you to go away. That's what I'm asking.
Alright.
Don't actually go away, because I won't be able to beat this. But seriously, though. Uh-oh. My cock! Okay, we're fine. I panic all the time. That's literally the reason I die in most of these games. I suck at these games, literally because I panic.
I literally just told you how to do it, and you still did it wrong. I just told you how to do it.
Okay, what am I doing again? Sorry, I literally panicked there again.
Do it from the platform with the checkpoint on it.
What's the checkpoint? Oh, the platform with the cock on it. Okay, I got you, I got you. Hey, it literally actually is the cock, if you think about it. It has a C, so it's not like I'm completely
Yeah,
wrong.
for checkpoint.
Yeah, for cock.
Don't make me get banned by pulling the cock out. on
Stop.
stream.
Stop. Ew. Sasatayo.
DSP is hell.
What am I doing again?
Go over to the checkpoint. And do the spinning from there.
It won't let me spin anymore. I lost it.
Really?
Yes, that's what I was saying. I did this last time.
Well, slide jump and double jump up to that one better then. Don't bounce. Don't do that.
I'm so sorry.
Try to make it from the middle, but I don't think you can make it. You want to try to leave the boxes on the left for the back path. Yeah.
I didn't know you had to go back like that. You're right. My bad. My moisturizer got me. Hey, I'm still speedrunning though. I'm still kind of going fast, even though I'm freaking up. I'm going fast.
You're accumulating deaths fast.
Death percent.
Not like I would be doing any better, but 100 death percent.
Oh.
I thought you hit that.
I thought I did too. That's why I was confused.
This is not like me where you jump on it and go fucking through it.
Yeah, that was weird. I hope that I clipped that right. That was pretty funny. I wanted to slide and homie bro.
You can't slide in the air.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Alright. I apologize to anybody watching this thing. This is good gameplay. Whoa, almost made me fly over to Mexico. So what am I doing?
Just leave the last box on the end on the left.
It's Jack's fault, you know. I keep hitting circle because I want to spin. I keep hitting circle because I want to spin, bro. I promise. That's what's happening, okay? What am I supposed to... I'm not supposed to spin, right? So what do I do?
Double jump!
I'm sorry, bro. My brain's like, spin, okay? That's how you do it. That's how you do it in Jack, bro.
I told you to stop playing that trash game anyway. But again, you don't listen to me.
It's not trash.
It says you.
And now I'm not the only one. Somebody else was enjoying it too, so. Cock!
That's what I always used to die too.
I was too close. That's what it was. Cock! Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell like that. Isn't it just so fun watching me do this over and over? I love it. This is amazing content right here. Good stuff. By the way, I did get confirmation, Vincent, that we can make that video, so I'll definitely give you the...
I would rather watch... I would rather play Shrek 3.
Ah! How did I not die? I'm so sorry, bro.
Give me 100% Shrek 3 instead.
So I just double jump?
You still have the ability too.
Ooh. Now I'm good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hell no. You do this part. Just kidding. How do you do this part? Oh, I needed that, didn't I?
No. You have inverted.
Oh. I literally forgot that this what disability was. No!
I knew that was gonna happen.
Why can't I turn it fast enough? I just can't do it. Here, you do it. Just the turning part. I can't do it fast enough. Why? Okay, you don't want... Okay, fine. I just do it since you hate me. I feel like I'm pressing it at the right time, and it's the wrong time every time.
You didn't know it was coming.
I remember this. I was trying to do what I saw you do. But I just pressed it at the wrong freaking time all the time. I sliced!
You want me to do it?
I sliced it. You have to press it like instantly, don't you? Is that what I'm doing wrong? I really don't get the timing. But yeah, I'll send you the ish. I'll send you the ish after this ish. After this ish. I think, was I going too early? Because you're going like later, so you don't, oh, yeah, maybe that's what I needed to do. Like go a bit later so I don't have to worry about going so high. You know? That's probably what I should do. Okay. I get that. That's fine. Yes. Yes, Vincent. That looks so funny, I don't know why. You scared me there. Whip takes violent dumps all the time. Dupes?
Why, if you keep calling it Cumcast, I'm gonna have to ban you.
No, it's fine. I don't even blame you. What the hell? I chocolate it. Ban me, please, ooh, daddy. Sorry. Am I frick now?
No, you should be able to slide jump at him.
Okay. Oh, this lovely part that I love so much. Oh my goodness. Dude, what the cuck? What happened? What the freak just happened? I was able to do it right away last time. I'm gonna try to get that cycle that I did last time. Oh. So that one I just need to spin. Not first, right? Alright, oh! Alright, oh! I'm trying to speed run, y'all. That's why I'm dying. Don't worry about it. That was 100% awkward as hell. It's so weird inverted. Ugh. This was like not even hard to do before. Oh no, dude. I keep getting stuck. I'm gonna start pressing that ish right away. Oh, okay. So I need to... What's worse than being a League of Legends player? Being a League of... Never mind. I was about to say something that's probably not appropriate. Sorry. I was about to say something that isn't appropriate. But I stopped myself. I'm proud.
Being a RuneScape player.
Wow, give me a checkpoint there. It's like, you suck! Being a RuneScape player? RuneScape isn't that bad. Okay, I'm going too fast now. Slow down, suck an eye. You cup ball sack. It's really hard for me not to talk trash about people. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh no, I missed the eye. Dude, it's so weird doing this inverted. I practiced this so many times, like not inverted, and now I'm just like cucking it every 5 days. Oh, okay. I need a bigger boost.
I need bigger boobs.
Bigger boobs.
My boobs are too small.
I need to go up to the top again. I forgot. This is that area where I gotta go up to the top. Alright. You got this. We're just gonna fly over the whole thing. That works. Strat. Yeah, I need that, yeah. Why can't I jump immediately after that? Like, I should be able to jump.
Yeah, there's that one hidden crate on the laser.
Yeah. Dude, what the hell? Why didn't it give it to me? It usually gives it to me right away.
It's supposed to.
That was weird.
It was.
Oops, I needed to jump 2 more.
You also need to turn the timer on faster than that. Like, you need to slow down time faster.
Sorry. I'm sorry! Oops, I'm not supposed to jump. All I need to do is jump off it and then go into the ability. Jump off it, ability.
Platform.
Jump off it, ability.
Platform, jump onto laser. And you can't save because the laser won't come back.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Don't get the
checkpoint.
checkpoint if I don't get it. Yes, I remember this. I remember this. I got this.
I'm just telling you to make sure you remember.
Oh, I need to hit it twice. I keep forgetting you have to jump twice. It's like this game is so hard because like you know what you need to do, but you just do it wrong anyway. You know? Oops. How did I... Oops. Ow! Get that out of the way! Okay, here we go.
Huh?
Sorry.
Did you hear that?
Huh?
Crash was like, oh.
Yeah.
Crash would be like, oh.
I keep going too high sometimes, and other times I go too low. Then my balls get licked. Come on, bro.
Please stop missing.
What is the timing? Why am I freaking up the timing for this? It's just a timing where you gotta like not hit it. Oops, I forgot to slow down there. It's okay. I forgot to slow down there. Sorry. See, I did the timing fine there. Oops. I was thinking like 5 second years ahead. My bad, dude.
5 second years?
Oh, I thought I could maybe make it.
Too low.
Yeah. Dude, I literally hit... Stop cocking me, man. They cucked me.
No, you could have saved that by going back.
What do you mean? Going back where?
Instead of going forward. You're making the same mistake every single time.
I know, I'm trying to figure out the timing. My brain is breaking it.
It's not about timing.
Yeah, it is.
No,
I have to
isn't.
do 2 jumps.
No, it's not about that either.
What is it about then?
You'll have the time if you slow down time when you grab the mask.
I'm not making the jump.
You're getting the mask, though. And my point is, if you slow down, you have more time to go left to not fail the jump.
I don't think that's going to change that.
Yes, it will.
It will?
Yes, because you move at the same speed, but the time is moving slower. So you have more time to reach it. Because you're falling slower.
Dude, what the hell? I'm pressing it.
These mechanics are terrible. I hope you know that.
Oh, that's what you're trying to say. Dude, I'm literally trying to switch it. It won't let me. Am I doing... Like, it's almost like I cheated this one now, and now it's freaking my balls. Oh, that's why I didn't go to it.
Oh, you know why?
It's still slow-mo, that's why, right?
So you don't have time to switch it because
I have to turn it
slow.
off. I have to turn it off when I get there, if I'm going to do what you're saying. Too low. I love dying at the same part over and over. It's so fun. Oh, no. I forgot to switch it back. Sorry, I forgot that.
I want to do this for you so bad.
Stop! I want to do this. I can do this. I can do it! Even if I die 100 times.
You're close to that.
The thing is that I did this before the other way. So, like, I know I could do it. I did it the other way normally. It's just, like, my brain hates me and I don't like it.
By the way, if you bounce on the first TNT, you're guaranteed 100% to miss. Every time. See? Remember, don't hit the checkpoint yet.
Dude, you okay, if I was a rager, that would be the most valid time to rage. If I was a raging person, like, I wouldn't even blame the person for raging for that. Like, I wouldn't even blame you, bro. Like, I get it. It sucks. I don't even blame you, kid. We're gonna get to 100 deaths. Don't worry about it. We're fine. I wouldn't even blame you for raging, kid. I turned it off, you frick. I need to, like, what is the time frame for that? There's probably, like, a time frame I'm not seeing or understanding. Or... Why are you looking like that, dude?
Like what?
You look like you're dying.
Because inside I am.
No, you're not. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get to 100 deaths. I'm gonna finish this in 105 deaths. I promise.
We got 10 more.
We got this. 105 deaths. Don't worry about it. Did I finally do it? Mm-hmm. Should I die? Can I not have 105?
No, get the fucking checkpoint.
I just wanted to see your reaction, bro. I just wanted to see your reaction. I knew you were gonna do that. Be like that. No, just get the checkpoint, dick! Oh, no, I missed the cock. Okay, sorry.
Hit L2? Not good.
That's not good.
You're gonna need both of those golden whistle fruit.
Okay.
And it still might not be enough. Okay, it was enough.
No, I didn't do a jump cock. Okay, well, I can get those every time, no worries.
Or you can get one of the other, you can get the other one that's up in the air if you want to try to get that one instead. That's up there.
Oh, that one. I think I got that last time. So, I think that's the one I was getting last time when I did this. I wasn't worried about these ones because this one was this freaking shooting thing is annoying. But I can try to get it as long as I just take my time with it. Oops. I just realized I can't take that much time. Right?
No.
I can't take that much time. Uh-oh.
There's one.
No! Frick, I did it at the wrong time, because you can jump over the entire thing. You don't even have to jump on those.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the strat that I was doing before.
Remember I had to do this in 0 deaths to get the tape?
Yeah.
On normal?
Oh, frick, I forgot I have to spin. Oh, I thought I could save it! Oh my god.
You could've.
I thought I could save it. How could I have done it right? Oh no.
I mean, the spin's better. And actually jumping
Oh
more
yeah,
than
you're
half
right.
a centimeter
I see
in
what
the
you mean.
air.
Half a centimeter in the air. Uh-oh. Oh, I swear this spinning ability is the one I suck with the most, but it's the one that I use the most. Why? Why? You notice that? Like, I think it's the one that...
Soul, of course I noticed
it's the one that, like, you want me to play all the time because you weren't as comfortable with it, but for some reason I freak it up when at the worst times.
Throwing the controller up in the air doesn't help me jump
Yes,
higher.
it does. It helps me do everything. Stop lying.
I don't understand why you're doing one spin and then coming out of it.
I'm panicking.
But you did it multiple times.
Eat my balls, then. Eat my balls, daddy.
Daddy?
I don't know why I did that. That was bad. Oops, I didn't click the button long enough.
You got one death.
We got this, bro. I mean, I might not do
sure
everything.
we do.
I might not do that. 155 deaths, that's for sure. We'll do it before that. That's my guarantee.
I would hope so, because we did it in 111 the first time we beat this level.
Oops, I didn't know how to jump, sorry. God, man. Oh, my cock.
This is supposed to be the easy part of the level.
Go eat.
We don't have any food.
Go eat some eyes or something, bro.
I'm gonna go for some eyes, maybe. Some eye stew.
Dude, why can't I... Ah, frick. Did I pop out of it again?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to hit X twice, and I'm hitting R2 at the same time. That's what I'm doing. Oh my god, why am I doing that? Oh my god, why? Oh, frick. I didn't think that was gonna work. I'm hitting R2 at the same time when I'm supposed to just hit X. No! Why doesn't it switch instantly, bro? Just switch instantly. Go away! Go away!
Go away. Fat dad. You can probably guess where that's from.
Yeah,
Why are you
I
laughing?
know what that's from because I don't know why you're referencing that.
Because of the way you said go away.
Oh, I did it again. I did it again. I let go. I'm hitting R2 when I want to hit X, okay? We're just going to pretend that's not happening. Oops.
I don't even know what to say for that.
Oh, I hit that part that time, really? Okay. That was a crusty sandover right there. The way you look at me when I say random crap. Why couldn't I do that right?
Bad.
I just cheated!
That's one way to do it.
Cheated so hard. Did I do it? I cocked your mom! yeah! Frick yeah!
And it only took like 110 deaths.
Frick yeah, bro! Don't be hating on me.
109.
Ignore that. Ignore that. Ignore that. 109 out of 3. That didn't happen, y'all. Don't worry about that. I did everything else though, so. That looks so bad. 109.
You missed us. Did you see her?
I don't care. Paul, you kind of sus, not gonna lie. How am I sus?
109 deaths. Is this even possible? I don't know.
You kind of sus. Yeah, I'm kind of sus. I can't really deny that, but I want to know why you're saying I'm kind of sus. You could probably get through that level just fine. So, like, I kind of helped you. I did a good bit of that in there, right?
Mm-hmm. You do suck.
Wow. Because you said you cocked my mom. Sorry, I didn't even realize I said that. I am kind of sus though. I don't know. I don't know if it's like ADHD, autism, or what the hell it is, but I say like the most random-ish ever all the time. So. Everything in the world I probably said I cocked at this point. Like one of those logic questions where you say, there isn't a single thing that exists that Polly hasn't cocked. That would be an accurate statement. What? Are you laughing at yourself?
Yeah, because, like, I don't know what the hell just happened.
Yeah, that was really funny. I'm gonna hit click for that. Okay,
I just did it again.
There's existential and then there's the universal. So like there is nothing
And the cockaversal.
at all that exists on planet Earth that we know of that I haven't cocked. I think that would be the accurate way to say that sentence because you'd be right. I mean, I probably said I've cocked everything at this point.
I don't know where I'm supposed to go, honestly.
Me either. I was really about to ask you, where are you trying to go?
Primarily not hell.
There is absolutely one cat
Get the video.
that is 100% autistic, and that is our cat Rye. There is at least one cat that exists. That
You
is
can get the
autistic.
video up.
Oh my bad. What is it called?
The gauntlet. I don't want it.
The Gauntlet. The Gauntlet.
Cocklet.
Let me. Sorry.
Hey everyone, Sweet Johnny Cage here, back with Crash 4. This time I'm going to take you through the Gauntlet, which is the final flashback table. Starting off, you want to hit those two TNT fuses. Here, carefully bouncing that box 5 times. Trigger the top TNT and then drop back down. Just sliding double
Duh.
back over.
Ow.
TNT, sliding double jump back up.
Owie.
Move around this nitro here. It's possible that you do not have all these boxes because there's a TNT that is.
How did he activate it already?
Don't be afraid.
He said something about it's possible you don't have all these boxes. I'll turn it up.
Alright, so you want to trigger that TNT, break these boxes, safety.
Okay,
Back over. Trigger this TNT, slide double jump back up. Carefully move around this nitro here. It's
How did he get up there? How did he get that already?
boxes, and that's because there's a TNT
Go back to the beginning.
loaded nearby.
Because I don't understand what...
Don't be afraid.
I don't understand what I missed.
It probably isn't.
Like this
Johnny
beginning?
Cage here, back
I mean, it
with
doesn't
the
need to be
Crash
that far in
Oh.
the
This
beginning.
time I'm going to take you through the Gauntlet, which is the final flashback table.
Might as well.
So I don't know why the
Starting
audio
off,
is
we hit those two
glitching.
TNT fuses. Come up here, carefully bouncing that box 5 times.
Oh,
Trigger the
he
top
went
TNT
right
and
up there.
drop back
Okay.
down. Now, once this one is almost over, we're just sliding double jump to safety. Back over. Trigger this TNT, slide double jump back up. Carefully move around this nitro here. It's possible that you do not have all of these boxes, and that's because there's a TNT that is...
Hopefully the audio isn't too glitched for y'all. I don't know why it's doing that. Some sus-ish, but it's okay.
I fucking hate that. So much.
It's really hard.
Like, there's not enough time to just go around and weave.
It's probably like your positioning on that box. Like on the up box. Like maybe you
I'm
need
aware.
to just
You
go
need to be towards the edge,
That's
but
what, yeah.
it's just not...
You just have to find a visual for it. And then just keep repeating it.
You motherfucker.
Why are you saying mean things to me? Why are you calling me names, bro? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you a timer of how much minutes, how much you want, and then if you don't finish it by then we're stopping for today.
2.5 hours.
I mean, usually we try to end this stream at 3 p.m., but we could end it earlier. So it's about to be 2 o'clock. So what do you want?
I guess give me an hour. I'm not going to be able to finish it in that amount of time, no. 'Cause even the other one took me an hour and a half. This one's supposed to be harder.
There we go. 60 minutes on the clock.